All right, y'all, back to work. Boy, fantastic job today. And we have some good news for tomorrow because I have one of my all-time favorite chart patterns setting up right now. You see, every once in a while, we get this great combination of the higher time frame and the lower time frame. We get this pattern I call a slingshot reversal. And just like that rubber band on that slingshot snaps back, these slingshot reversals, they can produce some serious big moves for us. So I want to cover that strategy tonight. We'll cover entries, we'll cover exit targets, we'll cover some variations because we got some pretty big news coming out tomorrow morning as well. So I'm going to cover the entire game plan in tonight's video. So if you like making money, make sure you take lots of notes, grab some screenshots, and we'll get right into it here tonight. So charts are ready. Enough of the intro. As always, thanks for tuning in and watching our YouTube channel here tonight. Let's now dive in and make some money on Wednesday. FOMC Wednesday morning, by the way. E-mini SPY ready to go tonight. NASDAQ triple Qs are always ready. I've got 3 clues on these charts that are telling me where I think the winning trades are waiting for tomorrow. The first of 3 big clues right now, it's always here on the higher time frame. I like to use the hourly chart, the 60-minute time frame for the overall directional filter. We know right now the buyers are in very much control right now on the higher time frame. First clue is the buyers have control of overall momentum. Second clue now is down the calendar for tomorrow. There's 3 things on my radar for tomorrow. First one is that GDP number at 8:30 Eastern time. Combine that with that Treasury refunding announcement, and we have a powder keg of volatility at 8:30 tomorrow morning. Later on in the afternoon, we get the big FOMC announcement tomorrow afternoon. We don't expect Jay Powell to cut rates tomorrow, but we're hoping that he'll give us some clarity as far as whether or not there's any potential we get any rate cuts later on in the year. We've got 2 more Fed meetings this year, so we'll see if Jay Powell tips us off as far as if we'll get a rate cut maybe in September or in December. That's definitely something we are watching tomorrow afternoon. And the third thing, speaking of tomorrow afternoon, we have the first of 2 big blocks of big time Mag 7 big market cap earnings. Of course, tomorrow night we got Meta and Microsoft. Remember, Meta has been on a tear over the past few quarters, so we'll see if those cool Ray-Ban glasses, we'll see how well they're doing with those. I got to get me some of those Ray-Ban glasses. That's on our radar for tomorrow, right? GDP 8:30, FOMC at 2 o'clock Eastern time. Remember, whenever we have the FOMC in the early afternoon, be careful late in the morning, tomorrow morning in our trade room. Let's get back to our charts though, because it's good to know when the news is, but we know the money is made on the chart. So third and final clue is down on our tick charts right now. And this really is where the slingshot reversal all comes together. Now, if you're tuning in for the first time right now, I always use tick charts because tick charts make entry timing a whole lot easier. And all the time frames tonight, up top, upper left-hand corner, that's a 7,000 tick chart. And that moving average is the only tool we use to find lots of winning trades in our trade room each week. That is the 21 EMA. The final clue here is on these tick charts, and you probably can see it already, right? It's a range right there. Now, this is where the magic comes together for a slingshot reversal because it's a bear range. Now, remind me again, what do ranges like to do? Ranges like to rotate up, down, back and forth, right? That's what ranges do. They love to rotate. The amount above, the amount below. We use things like triangles, the same techniques I teach in our free trading classes. Now remember, this is a bullish market overall. So because of that bullish market overall, as it rotates off the low, this is where we're more likely now for a big, strong, as I would call it in my trade room, a slingshot reversal. Bullish overall in the higher time frame. As we rotate off this low, these now are more likely now to break out. And we know what else do ranges do? Ranges love to break out pullback. So when you think about this, there's really 2 ways I want to try to make money tomorrow. One is definitely bear traps. I have 3 bear traps I'm looking for below that low. That is where the big money is made to get in before that slingshot. So we'll start there first and talk about those entry techniques for tomorrow. But later on in this video though, I like the idea of buying it during the breakout. Love the idea of buying the breakout pullback. I have a couple different variations of that. We're gonna cover that a bit later on tonight on the NASDAQ chart. So definitely, again, if you like making money, I would definitely take lots of notes, lots of screenshots. Any questions, drop them in the comment section below. Let's now dive in right now. Love the idea. In fact, I would love it if we had a really strong run down. I would really like it. Remember, think about that rubber band, right? Think about that slingshot, dragging it back, right? So the bigger the move lower, the better, as far as I'm concerned. Now, as we go lower, we're not a bear market overall. We're a bull market on the higher time frame. So as we go lower right now, this is a horrible spot to be selling, right? You're selling really low. It may feel very bearish right now, but again, this is the tick chart. The tick chart's for entries, not direction. So what I'll do is look for a bear trap down here. Now, bear traps are very easy. Let the market pull back to that 21 EMA. Wait for those bears to try once. Let them try twice. We oftentimes will make a strong run down, the bears once, bears twice, keep going lower, right? Remember, higher high on the 2 try, higher high on the 2 try. Once those bears are trapped, now I know where their stops are. Now I know where their pain is. Now I know, most importantly, where sellers turn into buyers, right? This is where bear traps really shine in a range-bound market. Now remind me, where does the range want to go right now? It wants to rotate the amount below, the amount above. This is where the slingshot comes in handy, right? Or where it comes together, because now that overall higher time frame, all the bears get squeezed, and we know now where that pendulum wants to go. Next up, don't just kick back and watch the money pile up. Add more to that winning trade. Now, this is where a winning trade turns into a really, really big make your week, make your month payday, is an add-on trade. Now, we talk about this a lot in our trade room, but in case you're not there with us each morning, remember the add-on, separation off the moving average, a higher high in price. And I'll tell you, there's not a lot of guarantees in trading, but that's almost a guaranteed winner when you get that bear trap into add-on. And again, remember the add-on, the key is that separation. Leave that runner as we're going higher. Now, again, later on in this video, I want to talk about if we don't, we may just simply go higher. We may get that slingshot right now. So I'll cover that a bit later on in this video. But first things first though, I have to admit this. Sometimes we don't get the bear trap down there. Sometimes we don't get the bears trying. Sometimes we get this strong run down, and there's so many buyers down there because we're obviously bullish on the higher time frame, and sometimes it just whoop and runs right back up again. If that happens, if we see it V bottom off that low, now I have to be, well, what happens is when it V bottoms like that off that low, that voice in my head is going to be screaming at me to get in, right? You're missing it, right? The FOMO is going to be very real on that V bottom, but promise me you're not going to chase after it, because remember this, right? This V bottom is mostly happening because sellers are getting squeezed out. Buyers are eventually going to want to come back in, and they're going to buy nice and low. To do that, the entry now comes in. I'm going to find a couple of these swings, and most important thing is I want to get in off the first test of that low. Now, I can't go over all the specific entry tactics in these YouTube videos. I teach a lot more of this in our free video classes. In fact, any of the entry patterns you guys are learning in the free video course. It could be a bear trap, it could be a failure pattern, it could be a pullback combination, a strength trade off of that low. I just want that first test off the low of that channel. And speaking of which too, remember, let's slow down for a second, because I know most of you folks watching right now, you guys know these patterns, you're making money with these already, but if you're watching for the first time right now, this might be way over your head, a brand new strategy. I teach this entire roadmap. I teach the bear traps, the add-ons, the range rotations. I teach a ton of these V tops and V bottoms. Guys, bottom line, the markets are way too good right now not to to be making profits with stuff. So I'll put a link up top here for you. Don't you worry. Upper right-hand corner, hit that link that popped up there. Take that free trading course because the strategy I teach in that short video course will teach you a stupidly simple trick we use. You'll laugh when you see how simple it is. A simple trick we use in our members trade room that literally tells me exactly where to look for the winning trades each day. It's remarkably simple. More importantly though, we make our money by timing good entries. So in that free video class, I will teach you my 4 favorite entry setups so you can time better entries, get your confidence back in your trading once again. Guys, if you're still missing the best entries right now, if you've lost your confidence in your current strategy, what are you waiting for right now? You have nothing to lose. Hit that link that popped up there. I'll also put all the important links you need to learn the strategy. You're going to love all those trade examples I include in that short video series. The best part is it's completely free for you. So I'll put all the important links either up top, upper right there, or down bottom in the description. Start first with that free video course. You're going to love all the trade examples I include. Most folks start making money all on their own, all from that free video class. So start there first. And don't forget too, if you're on Twitter or X, I post a lot of updates during the day, charts and videos and mindset stuff on Twitter X in between these YouTube videos. So if you're on that platform, give me a follow. My handle's down there. All the details you'll need to learn more, hopefully earn a lot more, are linked below the video tonight on the description. Okay, so where do we leave off? I apologize. I want to pit stop there and make sure if you're watching for the first time right now, make sure you know where to learn these setups, see a lot more examples, and hopefully help kickstart making more money there on your own. So we talked about the slingshot, right? And I'm going to talk about this thing going higher here in just a second. Before I cover us going higher though, I want to talk about one more variation of this. So one thing about ranges is they love to break out and pull back, right? They love to break out, pull back. So I want you to be aware of another variation because again, we got some big news tomorrow. I have no crystal ball. I just know what works well when I'm going to try to share it with you here on this video. So for example, we oftentimes will see a nice strong breakdown, at least down to that pendulum swing would be nice, right? Get down at least that pendulum swing around that 95. Oftentimes we'll see a breakdown. We'll get that bear trap down here, bears once, bears twice. I'll do my usual stuff, right? I'll take a 1-to-1 first target, remove that risk on that trade, the same technique I teach in our free video classes. And every once in a while, what happens is we hold the underbelly of that range and we make another leg going lower. Now, this at first will seem very scary. This will feel like a bearish reversal here. It's not though. Again, go back to your hourly time frame, right? This will take a lot more than another leg down to call this a bear market right now. If anything, it's a breakout pullback off that prior trading range, right? So just be aware of that. If this thing goes lower, it's a good thing for us buyers, not a bad thing for us, right? So again, we may make that run down. We may see that bear trap down here, get that nice, easy winner going higher, but we may not get the full-blown slingshot, right? Every once in a while, they'll hold the underbelly of that range, and we'll see basically one of two things. Either one is a basic retest of that low, or two is a measured move. Okay, I want to make sure you know this. So whenever we break out of a trading range, the breakout leg is always a measuring leg. Okay, so the size of that breakout leg, and we'll know more about that once we see it. The size of the breakout leg, I can then take and pin to that low, and that will give me a measured move. Okay, this is important because now there's two levels I care about. One is that retest level, that low, and the other is the measured move level. All right, let's call this the money zone down there, right? That's the money zone. Well, really what it is it's a bear trap zone, right? It's a squeeze those stops, right? It's a massive short squeeze zone right there, okay? So now, imagine now, we get that strong run down. We get our bear trap, right? We don't get the full slingshot. We pop up and they drive that sucker lower, okay? Again, measured move. Keep that money zone in mind. It's below the low right there in that measured move. Once I get there now we do it again. Okay, we call these retest trades in our trade room. And if you're with us there each morning, the trade each morning, 8 o'clock Eastern time, you know how much we love this trade right now. Bear trap, 1, 2. Think about this. This is a horrible spot to be selling. I realize it seems very bearish right now, but again, this is a tick chart. We don't, direction is not on the tick chart. The tick chart is for the entries. The sooner you understand that separation, higher time frame direction, lower time frame for structure for entries, the easier trading will get. Do not let tick charts determine your direction. It's always back at the higher time frame. Okay, so bottom line is, once those bears try twice now, it's the same idea. It's the same bear trap. Squeeze those stops. Because again, think about this. If you are caught short, what happens if you get stopped out of a short trade? You buy your way out of it. So in these situations, everyone is buying. Anybody who's sold up here, they're buying their profit targets right there. The buyers are going to buy that because it's a bull market overall and it's a retest of that low. And all of a sudden the bears get stopped out. Again, everyone is buying. Buyers are buying, sellers are buying, everyone's a buyer. And again, if we're lucky on this, it'll pop up, give us some separation off that moving average, and we get one of my favorite combinations in our trade room, that bear trap into add-on, and again, leave that runner. Those runners they can be a huge payday because ranges love to rotate. All right, so now you know my favorite techniques for timing the entry on a slingshot reversal. But let's face it, right? We've already got this rotation going lower here. We may just rip right going higher here. If you watched last night's video, we talked about how big move up, big move down, big move up, big move. We talked about how big moves like this, there's a range right in there. If you watched last night's video, I mentioned that last night. So we're now at the low of what was probably one big massive range right there. And we know ranges, they love to rotate. So what if we don't get that bear trap down there? Let's talk about that now here over on the NASDAQ. Now again, on the NASDAQ, you'll notice here, we're quite clearly very bullish here overall. That the hourly time frame is for direction, right? So we know right now, the only time I would call this a bear market is if we see a strong pullback and they keep it going, right? A strong pullback, gotta keep it going, right? So until these bears can keep it going, we're going to keep calling this a bull market. We use that 21 EMA to tell us who controls momentum, right? So right now the buyers have all the control of momentum. Now, before we dive into tick charts here, if you're enjoying tonight's video, please help me grow this channel, please, by hitting that like button and make sure you subscribe. I know we're all busy people these days. Kids are home from school. It's summertime. I totally appreciate how busy life can get sometimes. So I appreciate you guys tuning in and spending time with me here every evening on these videos. So as always, thank you guys for the likes, subscribes, all the ongoing support. Now I promise I'm done begging for attention. Let's now dive in and talk about that NASDAQ. Once again, you'll see here a 4,000 tick chart, not the same time frame as we saw on the S&P chart. Tick charts are based on volume, and the S&P and NASDAQ have quite different levels of volume. But one thing that's consistent though is bear move down into a trading range. What do ranges do? Remind me again, they love to rotate back and forth with what? With triangles, with pendulum swings. Okay, we covered a lot inside the free video classes. I mentioned earlier that I love the idea. In fact, look at the NASDAQ right here. Look at this area right here. We know that breakout pullbacks are very common. That nasty range last week is just begging for a breakout pullback. So if the trading gods are watching down in this video right now, please go a little bit lower. Let's trap those bears in and squeeze that, right? Trigger that short squeeze, trigger that slingshot reversal, and all the variations I mentioned earlier on the S&P can be applied there as well. But let's kind of cut to the chase here right now. We may not get that. We may not get that slingshot off of that low. So what if price begins to rotate going higher here? I mentioned earlier that the bottom line is I'm looking for a breakout pullback ultimately off of that trading range, right? Now, there's a few ways in which we can trade that. So for example, the most important thing is as we start going higher here, remember, even though this is a bear range, it's a bullish overall market. So the odds are pretty good. We're going to punch up through that high here and then look for that breakout pullback. So as we're doing that, remember, separation is the key. If I can get some separation away from that moving average, remember, and when I say separation, it's always going to be that pullback. The pullback will barely go, it will barely miss that moving average, right? Okay, so separation away from the moving average, a higher high in price. This is always the initial entry I use during that range rotation going higher. And again, I can't emphasize enough how important it is to get that separation. No separation, no bueno, right? No separation, no entry right there. You want the separation because that tells you it's a strong rotation and more likely to keep going higher for you. Now remember, we know that the breakout leg and the measuring leg, right? So breakout leg, measuring leg, that will give you one of two core targets. The target's obviously back up to retest recent highs here. But remember that measured move technique, right? The breakout leg is the measuring leg. The measured move, that's a great spot for a target, okay? Just be aware of those small details. Now, at this point now, where's the breakout pullback going to be? The breakout pullback now is back around that area now. So now I want to get back below that moving average. My favorite breakout pullbacks, by the way, are two-legged pullbacks. They aren't always two-legged pullbacks. My favorites, though, are always two-legged pullbacks, right? Think about a measured move. The best ones between you, me, and YouTube, they'll go a bit more than a measured move, right? So imagine an A, B, C, D that goes a little bit more than that measured move. Those are usually the best ones because they overextend right there. Okay, so once I know the general idea behind that, now again, think about this. Nice strong rotation off the low. Breakout pullback off that trading range. Do I blindly buy that pullback right now? Do I use divergence, right? Maybe an RSI, MACD, read tape? I've never personally found that to be very effective. In fact, I have coached thousands of traders, almost 20 years coaching in my trade room. I've never met a single person, honestly, that uses indicators consistently profitably in my trade room, outside my trade room. I've never met anyone that does it. So I don't waste my time indicators. I have tried many times in the years. I always go back to bull and bear traps, right? So no divergence, no reading tape, just wait for that price to pull back and wait for those bears to commit. We're not trying to pick tops and bottoms here. We're not blindly entering this trade here. I'm waiting for signs that bears have tried twice. A lot of examples of what that means in that free video course, linked up top there, or again, link below video description. Grab the video course. You'll learn what to look for 2 tries on that, and we'll squeeze those stops running higher here. Right? The goal on this one now is very simple. Back to retest that recent high and leave that runner because, of course, we know the all-time highs are always a bit of a psychological magnet. So it's basically an add-on trade right there. It's a technical bear trap like I teach in the free video course. Then we have a 2-try bear trap and a run back up to retest those highs. Now, one variation of this that does happen quite frequently, especially during these slower summertime trading months, is oftentimes we'll see this strong pop up and we'll begin to grind going higher here. Now, I talked about this briefly earlier on the S&P, but this also applies here on a slingshot reversal. Remember, the minute you see this thing pop up and begin to grind, right? Begin to grind away from that moving average, that now tells you find that channel off the highs. We call these pop and grind channels in our trade room. Find that channel off the highs, mark it down at those lows, then look left. And what I want is, the ideal entry is, I want to be getting in around the low of that channel and right around what I call the first test is the best test. Now, again, unfortunately, I can't teach all the entry tactics in these videos. I do teach them all in that free video class, but this could be a bear trap. Look at me showing you here, a pullback combination, maybe a strength move as it rips and goes higher. Now, one final thought on this. Remember, the breakout leg, measuring leg, okay? On these pop and grind moves, it's the pop leg, right? It's the breakout leg, right? The pop leg, right? Okay, so once we know that technique, once we know the breakout leg is the measuring leg, then we can go out, measure the pop leg. Once we see that pull back to that moving average, then we know where that target goes. And ideally, we'll hold a runner there to the high of day as well. All right. Last variation. And I know I cover a lot of variation in these videos because, again, I have no crystal ball tomorrow. I'm doing this right now because I want to have a game plan ready for myself and our students tomorrow in our trade room. Last variation. Next scenario is we pop up, and before the FOMC, before the big earnings, we go sideways up here. Now remember, what do ranges do? They like to rotate. Bull range, rotation off the low. Range below us, breakout pullback. Okay, we call these stacked ranges. So it pops up and goes sideways. Remember, these are the easiest ones because now that new range is a magnet, right? It'll want to rotate off that low. The previous range, breakout pullback. So if you understand the basic principles of how ranges work, and we know we're bullish overall on the higher time frame, it's a pretty simple game plan, right? Get below that range, trap those bears in, and rotate back higher, right? The amount below, the amount above are targets, and the all-time high is a target. Just don't forget, that knife cuts both ways, right? We oftentimes will pop up here into a trading range, price will go higher first, then come slamming back down again. And I'm going to warn you right now, this will feel like a reversal, but it's not a reversal. Again, remember, the higher time frame hourly, that's our direction. Do not let the tick charts talk you out of that direction. It is easier said than done, I will admit, right? But remember, the tick charts are for entry. So we know the directional filter right now is bullish. So as we rotate off that high right now and that voice in your head says, are you sure you want to buy this? Remember, all the rookies, they're not mentally ready for that, right? All the inexperienced traders hanging out in chat rooms and watching TikTok videos right now, they're not diving into this like we are in these long form videos, right? Not everybody has the attention span, believe it or not, right? Traders can't sit and watch this stuff and they wonder why they lose money consistently to people like us, right? The bottom line though is a lot of rookies who do not take this business seriously, they will fall for that trap right now. And again, it's a trap, right? Bears once, bears twice, running back up again. And remember, don't forget too, right? In the rare occasion where it runs up and then slams back down again, it's that same mentality, right? The same technique, right? Amount above, amount below, trap them in, and slingshot back up again. All right, guys, that's my mindset for tomorrow. That's my game plan for tomorrow, and a couple of variations in case we get some wild stuff around that news tomorrow morning. Now, speaking of tomorrow morning, the place to be is in our trade room. I can't think of any better way to learn and do this the right way, to do it with us every morning in the trade room. As always, I'm going to put all the important links you'll need to learn the strategy. Again, grab the free course, start there first. I'll put that link below in the description of the video. You're going to love all those trade examples. Then come join us sometime soon in the morning trade room, 8 o'clock Eastern time every morning, and we'll do it all together. It's so much easier to start making money in these markets when you're learning and trade along with us in the trade room. In the meantime, guys, hope you enjoyed tonight's video. Hope you use this knowledge to make a killing tomorrow morning. Be well out there. Be nice to each other, will ya? And you better be here next time. All right, adios, amigos. Bye for now.